Hey, I'm Randy, I'm the Cheap Audio Man, and today we're talking about the Neumi BS5. But if you're new here, please subscribe. We're giving away a pair of speakers. I will have that video linked in the description about how to enter yourself into that giveaway. If you're interested at all in trying Amazon Music, there will be a link in the description. I would recommend Amazon Music HD. So click on that link, scroll down, hit HD. You get like 3 months free. And then if you want to skip to my final thoughts, you can just kind of scroll all the way over until it says final thoughts. It's a very well thought out transition. Had CGI people working on it all the time. Anyway, grab a beverage, sit down, and let's talk about the Neumi BS5. Okay. The Neumi. I don't really know how to say it, so I'm just going to say Neumi. You could say it a variety of different ways. So let's talk about it. Now, there's only 54 ratings on Amazon, but they're all pretty good ratings. It's $90 on Amazon right now, and I think that's the only place you can get it in the US. So it's actually a really good looking speaker, and I don't know if you can see it right there, but it's got a rounded front baffle, and it's not like a black, it's almost like a really dark brown oaky type of a vinyl wrap. And even on the back it has like 45-degree angle cuts and then an inlay, 2 front ports. It's really nice. It's really, like, I didn't realize how nice it was until I just took them out of the living room. But it's nice. It looks as good, if not better, than, well, probably not better. It looks as good as like the ELAC debut reference or the Klipsch RP600M. It has a very similar kind of grain, fake grain in it. But it's really nice. It looks really good if you're into that type of thing. It has a 5-inch fiberglass woofer, very stiff. A 1-inch silk dome, which is nice, with a waveguide. And it's got a nice little waveguide. It's very good. It's very good. They mentioned it has a 12 dB crossover, and again, I just reviewed a pair of Mica speakers, and when someone's mentioning the slope of their crossover, that's usually a really good thing, that someone has taken a great deal of care to try to make this thing sound as good as it can. So they're rated from 50 to 20,000 hertz. They're 6 ohm, 86 dB. So not super efficient at all, but not terribly inefficient. 6 ohms, so that's good. So, sound staging and imaging. It's good. For a $90 speaker, it's good. It's what I would expect. Hey Jude, the imaging was very good. I had these placed a couple of different places in my office. So I had them about 6 inches from the wall, kind of at an angle, towed in at me, and that was pretty good. I ran them with and without a subwoofer. All of my impressions here are without a subwoofer. So I'd say 6 to 12 inches was kind of their sweet spot for bass. If you get them super close to the wall though, then it kind of falls apart, and I'll talk about that when I get to when I had them in the living room and my final thoughts. Imaging's very good though. Hey Jude, I could definitely tell the different images or the different instruments and where they were between the speakers. Doesn't really go super wide or super high, although it does have pretty good off-axis response with that waveguide. Every Day by Dave Matthews Band was very good. 9 Inch Nails song, I can't remember what it was, but anyway, there's very good travel between the right and left speaker across the center image. And played So What off of Kinda Blue by Miles Davis. The bottom line, for $90, they do a very, very good job of sound staging and Imaging, probably better imaging than Soundstage. Soundstage is okay, but I mean, it's a $90 speaker. You can't expect it to sound like a concert. The other really good thing about this is it stayed really cohesive at louder volumes. And I just had them in my living room, just on the side of the TV on my TV stand. And I was eating lunch. Behind the couch, we have a little eating area for the kitchen, and it's far away. I'm talking like 20, maybe 25 foot. And well, I didn't have it cranked, but it was really good. And I think that's what kind of surprised me the most, is that they present as a much larger speaker than they are, if that makes sense. And they don't feel like they're struggling at all. Let's talk about bass. Okay, so obviously you can see that they're front ported. The bass was very balanced, and the one thing I liked about this speaker is that the bass seemed balanced at lower volumes, and it seemed balanced at higher volumes. 50 hertz, I think they do it. I mean, they sounded like it. It did not sound anemic, and it did not sound nearly as anemic as some of the other speakers that I've reviewed recently. And I will be doing a review, I'll call it like the best speakers under $100, and that's going to be coming this week. But the bass on this was surprisingly good, considering it's a front port. I've heard decent bass out of a speaker this size that's rear ported, and you kind of adjust the bass by having it as closer or farther away from the wall. But this is a very well designed speaker for bass response, and really response throughout the frequency range. With a sub, they sounded very complete. With a sub, you blindfold me, you put, I don't know, a set of $600 speakers that go down to 44 hertz. I probably wouldn't be able to tell a difference if I'm just listening to music. I'm not thinking about soundstage or detail or imaging or things like that. Very good with a sub. Very good without a sub. And definitely you could get away with just putting these on a desk or using these in just a 2-channel system. I would argue in this price range they are one of the, if not the best speaker. They have probably the best low end of a speaker I've heard under $100, with the exception of maybe one other speaker. But we'll talk about that in the review. Let's talk about mid-range. Mid-range seems a touch step back, and I think that has a lot to do with the top end of this, and I'll talk about the top end next in treble. The mid-range is not veiled, but there is a little bit lack of detail on the upper half of the mid-range. Female vocals, higher frequencies of acoustic guitars. It seems like you start to lose some of that detail. Not to a point where you can notice it, and definitely not like I did a review of the best speakers under $200, and there's a Polk S15 in there, and that mid-range was just muddy and just covered up and veiled, and it was not good. This is not that way at all. It's just slightly stepped back and less detailed on the top end. It's all there. It's all very clear. It's not as good as one other speaker, and I'm not going to mention that right now. I'll mention it in the review of the best speakers under $100. It's not quite that good for the mid-range. However, it's a strong second. This is the second best mid-range I've heard in a speaker under $100. It's very good. And nothing stood out as being like overtly great, but Also, nothing stood out as being overtly bad. It's a very good mid-range. Very good bass. Exceptional bass for a speaker of this price. Good mid-range. I think that makes more sense. All right, let's talk about treble. Treble on this speaker is just about perfect for my taste. I don't like, if a speaker sounds a little bit trebly or bright at low volumes, I can almost guarantee it's going to sound extremely trebly or bright at higher volumes. This speaker was very balanced at low volumes and very balanced at higher volumes. It has a very linear balance, so it doesn't start to really come apart at different volumes. And some speakers are really good at like 75 dB and down. Some speakers are really good at like 70 to 85 dB, and some speakers, you know, fall apart at 85 dB. I felt like this speaker was really balanced throughout the different volume levels and subsequent power levels. It did a really good job. Is it the most exciting speaker out there? No, it's not. It's not going to knock your socks off with like super. It is dynamic. It's just not. It leans more towards the warm side while not being warm. There's still treble there, and it's very good treble with a good off axis because of the waveguide. It's just a really solid speaker. And I think it will appeal to a wide variety. If you like really bright speakers, you'll still like this speaker. If you like really warm speakers, you'll still. This is kind of like a Goldilocks speaker, kind of right in the middle. It's very good. It's very good. It's very good. What are my final thoughts? Final thoughts are, I'm blown away by this speaker. I feel like it does bass, mid-range, and treble as well as any speaker I've heard under $100, with the exception of maybe one. But even then, I think with that speaker, it just has a titch different sound signature. So it's a great speaker. It's $90. It's got great finish. It's very well built. It can maybe use a little bit of bracing. Yeah, could use a little bit of bracing, but it's fine. It's $90. It's got good binding posts, if you're into that. I just like the way it looks. I think what surprised me the most about this speaker is when I put it in my living room, and it's a big living room with super high ceilings, and I just turned on some music and I was eating lunch, and it just kind of occurred to me, wow, this little guy is really standing up. It sounds like a bigger speaker. They've really maximized this 5-inch woofer. This has better bass than the Klipsch R51M, in my opinion. And you don't have to move it around to kind of optimize the bass. With the front port, it sounds good. I will say I did have it in the living room, and I had them shoved closer to the wall because I actually thought that would help. It really didn't. What happened was the mid-range started to kind of get almost like shouty, but not in a bright way. It just seemed hollow, kind of like you're yelling down into a tin can or something. It didn't sound good. Pulled it out about a foot from the wall, and it sounded great. It sounded very good. This speaker, I wouldn't say is remarkable in any way other than it's remarkable in its balance and cohesiveness and ability to stay balanced all throughout the volume range, from lower volumes up to higher volumes. I never really felt like it fell apart. I mean, about 85 dB and above, yes, it started to show its limitations, but our expectations need to be reasonable on a speaker of this size and this price range. So bravo to Neumi, the BS5. I know what this 5 stands for, the 5-inch woofer. I don't know what the BS stands for though. Basic sound maybe, bowl, shadows maybe. I don't know. If you're interested in this speaker, and I think this is a definite buy at $90. Is it the best under $100? We'll find out if you watch my other videos. Definite buy though. If you use my links, I do get a small commission, and it really helps out the channel. I also have a Patreon up and running now, and it wasn't because I wanted it. A viewer asked me to set it up, and he has contributed. I won't name his name out of anonymity, but I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all the support and all the questions. It's kind of been overwhelming to see the response I've gotten from this channel. And I know I have a tendency to be a little bit sarcastic and try to be funny, and I'm probably not funny, but I just really appreciate it. And this is a lot of fun for me. I'm buying all this stuff out of my own pocket, and that's great because I get to pick the best speakers at different price ranges. I get to give these speakers to my kids. I get to share my passion of audio with them. And this is not about looking down on somebody because they bought a 90 pair of speakers. This $90 pair of speakers is better than anything I had growing up, and I enjoy the music. I was getting into it today with these guys. It's a absolute bargain at $90. I'm not going to say it's as good as a $200 speaker. I haven't heard a whole lot of difference between some of these really good $90 speakers and $200 speakers. Actually, I think there's things that these lower price speakers do that I'd say between $100 to $200 speakers don't do. I'm really impressed. Really impressed. I don't really have anything else to say other than subscribe if you're new here. Please like the video, check out my other videos, and sign up for the speaker giveaway. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.